I'm a product owner for the hybrid cloud within Proximus Next, and I'm working in the cloud and security tribe. Welcome in this session Beyond the Cloud, together with Gijs, which will give you info about innovation. Why are we here together with HCL? Or why am I standing here together with HCL at least? Well, we are already partnering with them since 2008. The last 2 years we chose to strengthen our partnership to ensure that we give the best to our customers together. That's what we do. Yeah. Gijs, maybe you can present yourself.
Yeah, I'm Gijs, and I've been working with Proximus for 8 years, and we indeed try to bring, we're a global IT company, right? 13 billion, 200,000 people, but we try to bring that capability to Proximus so that Proximus can bring it to its customers. Now, before we start, let's ask a question. Who of you is already using cloud? Who of you has more than 30% of their workloads on cloud? Who has more than 60% of their workloads on cloud? More than 90? Now we did a research together with the Financial Times, 500 business leaders, and we asked these type of questions. Actually, in the end, there's a QR code. You can download this. And we asked them, of course, not the question, how much are you on cloud, but how are you using cloud? What is the benefit? During this whole presentation, we won't really talk about how technically you'll move to cloud, but more what cloud enables. Now, the most interesting part is that people are saying, I could not have pivoted my business, I could have done this agility without using cloud, without changing my operating model, my organizational change, and without sharing data. Now we'll see that becomes one of the themes that we use through the presentation. But I first want to use just briefly 3 use cases. And we said real life use cases. I think this is one we're the most proud of. We brought Unilever to cloud in 18 months, combination of Google Azure. And obviously the thing people, I'll come back to later in the presentation on the product-centric operating model. Now, Unilever is clearly somebody that says, I have my units, I have the guys making soap, I want them to leverage all the technology in the world that they can have, right? Using AI for new markets, using applications, whatever. So that's what has enabled Unilever. Another example, more on markets, is a digital bank. Now, this isn't Belgium. This isn't Belfius together with Proximus, but this was a bank that says, I want to open 7 new markets. How do I do this? And we ended up transferring all of these systems into cloud, enabling this bank in 4 months to open up 8 new markets with 8 new products. And the question here is obviously, can you do this? Or could your competitor, your global competitor, do this in your market? Now, clearly they could not have done this without leveraging cloud. And last one is Ericsson. It's a well-published case as well. The only thing I wanted to highlight here, people always think that if I move to cloud, that's like in Unilever, that's a 2-year program. Now, with Ericsson, we've proven it's no longer a 2-year program. You can do this in the range of a year if you take the right use cases and you do that well. And especially if you come to our booth, we show how AI can actually now help in your application transformation. Because coding, you can already do in 50% of the time. So 3 kind of use cases that we wanted to highlight. Over to you, Peter.
Well, 3 very fine examples that show about multi-cloud usage, about hybrid cloud usage. You see that data-driven. The first example was clearly data-driven. That's also in this case. It's all about improving the NPS scores, improving with new customer experiences for the customers. So really going beyond the cloud. Now, what is a red fil rouge in French, they say? Well, it's always about time to market, and that's why we have a foundation, which is on this slide. Yeah, it's the previous one. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah, you're going too fast. Well, what you see on this slide is our foundation that we bring to our customers. So it's all about hybrid cloud, which means on-premise businesses, cloud, private public cloud, as well as you have SaaS solutions, we bring it under an umbrella, and we bring it with a framework for automation. Automation is key in your time to market also. So we bring all kinds of services and products on that part. Next to that, you have to take into account, bringing that, you need to be secure. It's also important. Also, that is embedded in our foundation, as you can see. So these kind of things, being secure, being data sovereign in some cases. So it's depending on legacy, on legislation, sorry. All these kind of things we bring together in the foundations. Yeah. We can, maybe I can give one more example on the time to market, just one that I experienced. I was, quite some time ago, I was with a media company working together with them, and their developers had the issue that they wanted to be fast in delivering development, tests, UAT, as well as production environments. Meaning, if something happens, they wanted to deliver very fast new features, new functionalities. One of the problems or one of the challenges they had is to make sure that this developer gets his environment to develop in very quick, because you want to be fast. We succeeded by using this kind of foundation to make sure that this kind of company is able to deploy in 15 minutes a full development with coding, etc., towards development environments, UAT environments, and as well in production in the end, on a standardized way, so you can also operate it in a clean way. So it's all about automation, orchestration, which is part of this this foundation for us.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't. No, so I'm going to take, because I love this slide, because I love talking about the coolest IT trends, but also product-aligned business model or IT democratization, right? That's kind of like, and somebody spoke to me about an example on how should I see this. So let me ask you another question. Who was working actively in business in the 90s? Interesting that some of the people that had 90% on cloud were still working in the 90s as well. Now, I was as well. But in the 90s, you had the CFO that ran the company. Now, we can argue whether or not that has changed, but still, the CFO was running the company. But it was also the biggest how do you say, impediment for growth. Because that guy or lady would control the whole company. And what ended up in the 90s, it was a big change. They started appointing business controllers. So you would have a business unit, and basically the business unit would have his own business controller. And within the brackets of what the CFO wanted, he could play. Now we see exactly the same happening in IT, and the role of IT is changing. So it's no longer about the central CIO organization controlling everything, having all these platforms. It's now really about enabling business units, like in Unilever, to say, play with the cloud, play with AI, do your own thing. But within the brackets that the CIO gives you, right? Compliancy, data, security, all of that play. And that's the change we see. So it's all about embracing those guys that are in that business unit and want to try out cloud. 3 years ago, we tried to, from a central IT department, we tried to cut that off, saying, oh, these guys are all playing. No, 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 just give them the guardrails. Give them the guardrails and give them the tools. Now, this is something that will never, ever happen if you still have the legacy IT, right? If you put in a change request and 6 months later and all of that. So this is one of the biggest changes in IT. And you'll see if you do open up a McKinsey or whatever, it's all about the product-centric operating model. And then they go into agile on vertical teams and horizontal teams. But I thought the reference of the CFO appointing business controllers is the best way that I've seen that needs to happen in IT. And then, of course, we talked about AI. We'll come to that as well. But and we see that in the study, I actually have a slide. 85% of the people said, we can't do AI without a cloud strategy. Now, let me give you 2 other examples. And because in that same study, 500 executives globally, 73% are saying, we're just starting. We've moved on cloud, we've got 80% on cloud, we've transformed, but we're just starting to use. And I'm not sure if I say, when I was presenting this slide to my girlfriend, she said, who's this Indian Mr. Bean? And by the way, if you see it, you can't unsee it. But no, but he basically said, we gave data to the business unit, right? That's a key thing. I mean, imagine in your company that you say, I want my business unit or my company to have free access, play with it. Now imagine that you go to next door and you say, but how about security? How about they take my data, they put it in into ChatGPT, and there it goes, right? There I've got my security breach. So I think security versus company culture, those are the biggest thing holding us back. In summary, if you look at the 6 main reasons why people go to cloud. Now, time to market, you discussed that. Improve customer experience, data-driven insights. The interesting part is also risk. I think 3-4 years ago, the biggest reason not to move to cloud was security and risk. With the coming up of industry clouds, now you'll come to a cloud which is fully certified for your industry. Right, all set, all regulations done, security models, all of it done. You don't have to do it anymore yourself. So now one of the reasons to go to cloud, or for instance the Proximus Sovereign Cloud, is security and data regulation. And I briefly talked about this in that same interview. This was done in March, by the way. Today is exactly 1 year since ChatGPT got launched, right? Version 1. And this was in March, so roughly that time ago. So I think now it's changed. But 85% says we cannot do this if we don't have cloud. Yeah. Now, the best graph that I found in that set, where are we today versus where do we need to go, is this was from the Gartner Symposium in Barcelona 3 weeks ago, I think. Most organizations have done this. We met a lot of organizations that said, oh, I've just do VM to VM, and now my costs have doubled. I have done this. I've taken some legacy applications, I've taken some steps, I've started new projects in cloud, quite innovative. But that's where we are. I think Gartner states, and I completely agree, that if your competitor has that business unit that is a small team, right? Can be 10 people, 20 people, can be 100 people, that have the flexibility, the eagerness and the drive to do it themselves, and you give them the tools within the brackets, then it becomes a business necessity. So that's where we are on cloud. And then if you look at what do we, this is in the same study, and I think most of you are in IT. What's the biggest role of IT? It is to enable it, completely agree, but the biggest is the cultural change. I mean, most of management doesn't know this potential, it has become a board level discussion, and ChatGPT has massively, AI has massively helped. But the cultural change that you need to say, guys, you can do it yourself, to give autonomy, to give freedom, empowerment, all of that stuff, that is the biggest change. So agile organization, product-centric, right? Vertical teams that can play, horizontal teams that are platform organization driven. And the biggest issue very often is breaking the departmental silos. Right? How you work together with colleagues in that kind of a model. And in the study, if you download it, we'll have concrete examples on how you could train. We typically do a lot of workshops with customers, and that can be days and days of workshops to actually making people see how this will change.
Well, this said, indeed, it's all about innovation. That's what your main thing is, and it's also beyond the cloud. Now, our journey, what we do is guide you as a customer, or we can guide you in every step of the way. Meaning, we can start with, if you don't know where to start, we can use assessments or 360 degrees assessments, application landscape assessments, and those kind of things to help you get started, to know where you can go. But if you want to get innovated, it's all about discovery. So we have lots of ways to discover what innovation is all about and what could help you in the new technologies for your business. So that's the main thing of the journey where we start off. Afterwards, of course, implementation, those kind of things, even go to management and making sure that we do observability and manage your innovations. So all these kind of steps, we guide you along the way. We can take it all the way. And we do it together. So what I can say on that part also, we do it with local expertise for you from a Proximus Next environment. And we are also using the strengths of the global leadership that HCL brings in.
Yeah, and I think that the last part here is now getting a lot more traction as well, the FinOps and the green ops, where people completely understand, oh, I've moved my complete application landscape. People said I would now be in heaven. My costs have doubled, and other than that, nothing happened so much. And we see that people are actually asking, oh, now I should go back, which is probably the worst thing to do. The best thing to do is, how can I now start really utilizing cloud, like cloud native, containers, all of that stuff, really limiting. Now, there's a whole portfolio on that end as well. And the last is because it's tough to start, right? Some people say, where do I start? How do I start? So we've got a challenge for you. Now, the good news is you don't have to put your hands up this time. But what you do have to do is scan this QR code. And because we get that this is tough, right? That sometimes you're stuck with an application. Sometimes you're stuck with, how do I get my security model right? Where do I even start? Which application should go on Google, right? Which is completely different platform than Azure, than AWS. So we've got a challenge. And the person that wins the most, I would say, interesting or cool challenge gets 50 days free of consulting. And consulting/engineering. And as a core, as HCL, we're a tech company, right? So even though I would love to talk you to death, but the bulk of our company is techies that like a technical challenge. Now, I'll give you an example, just a very simple one, because we launched the lab in Proximus itself first. And this was a use case we did. It's not that tricky, but if you're in Belgium, you probably have one of these at home on the top right, which is installing a fiber. And what typically happens, mistakes are made. So what happens in this case, how we used, the engineer takes a picture, sends it to the AI agent. It gets analyzed on these graphical CPUs that we have on the edge of the end of the network. And it comes back immediately saying, oh, there might be a mistake here. There might be something here, right? So, and this obviously saves a lot of money because the engineer might have otherwise have been gone. So it's that kind of examples that we're trying to look. So yeah, the challenge is here. The QR code is also on our booth. So we've got basically two booths. You've got the lab booth, where we say, come to us with your challenge. And we've got the Proximus hybrid cloud booth. So I think with that, anything to add or?
Yeah, I think you have to invite everyone to come over and to speak about their challenges. And let's see how we can help prove it in our labs that it will really work. So thank you for your attention. And
yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
All right.
Proximus Next. Think possible.